great to be here with everybody. I enjoyed hearing the very important and very relevant conversation. And like everybody who was just speaking, again, kudos to you. Thank you for putting together an amazing and important platform, more important than ever before. It's great
Thank you
to be
so
here.
much. So Niha and I connected and we had such long conversation. It's almost like we've known each other forever. We
That's
just
right.
hit it off, right? And felt great. And that's the power of what we're building right here. You meet such incredible people. And that's why I want you guys as well to connect with each other. Even when you come for an event tomorrow, make that effort to say
Yes.
hi. Because as women, sometimes we're so like intimidated, right? To be like to open up and we're shy compared to men who are like, hey, hi, right? And I want you guys to do that because you'll never know how you will connect with that person. That could be your next really good friend, and whatever it could be, whichever level. So thank you, Niha. I would like quickly introduce her. So Niha, she's the CEO and founder of Reinvention, and it's like, do you want to introduce yourself? It says like, okay, I'll just read that. It says, I created, so she created what was missing in the market, a powerful, culturally informed executive development program for organizations, team, and individuals. Neha started a career working with iconic brands such as Victoria's Secrets, Condé Nast, and Express. She also learned market research and branding from Procter and Gamble. She focuses her extensive career in healthcare, in talent development, and executive strategy, and now works with companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, NYU, Northwestern, at the University of Michigan, Sanger Leadership Institute. So a lot going on. So she's absolutely incredible, and we all need some reinvention in our life every now and then. And the topic today is the vital role of risk taking for women in career leadership and life. So, so do you have a presentation, or is it more of a conversation that you're going for?
I thought at the time of day that everybody is, it would be great to have a conversation and keep everybody awake and engaged and excited to get some rest tonight and then really go in tomorrow.
Right.
And I think we hit the nail on the head with the conversation earlier, Lakshmi, about how important it is as females to connect with each other and to connect with other powerful women. And frankly, I saw Lakshmi posting some things and I thought it was fabulous and incredible. And I said, I'd really like to know you. And then she is who she is. And she took that opening and then we connected in a real and authentic way. And so I really wanted to talk about the differences between men and women when we come into the workforce, particularly as executive leaders and at the top of our careers, because that's how I want you to think about yourself. So often, any society, Western society, Eastern society, now we're a global society. And Lakshmi, pause me if you need to at any time to emphasize a point or ask a question or somebody has a question to ask. But the important thing we want to do is we want to be the people, the lead person in our life who defines where we are going, how we are going there, and why it's important. All too often, we take on too much. We have past decisions or past expectations put upon ourselves. And the only reason why it comes to fruition is because we agree with it. If we agree with any societal expectation or limitation that boxes us or holds us back or limits our confidence, then that's how we're going to show up in this life. That's how we're going to show up at work, at home, or when we're building something incredible like what Lakshmi and everybody here today is coming together to build. So I really want to talk about how the past, how cultural influences, societal influences can unexpectedly, but somewhat subconsciously keep us held in a box smaller than the dreams that we are available for, the influence that we are available for. And the fact of the matter is it's 50-50 in this world. And we as women, we can partner with our friends, with our allies, with businesses, with companies to build an extraordinary career for ourselves, an extraordinary company for ourselves. And the reason why that is so important is because the more diverse the company, the more diverse the workforce and the industries, the better the outcomes. the better we thrive together, the better the world is, because women do tend to invest back in the community, getting to know other people, developing an incredible platform where we are today. We invest in education, we invest in the wellness of others. And so we want to make sure that we take care of ourselves to the extent that it's healthy for us, but not to the extent where it's detrimental to ourselves mentally, like we were just speaking about, causing burnout, or we're not taking good care of our sleep, our wellness, our health. Because when we can't do that, when we limit ourselves, then we get into a mental headspin of negativity, of self criticism, of incapability. You're capable of anything you desire to do, and then have a strong plan to execute. And when you have both things, a plan to execute and a dream that stretches you, then you turn on the fire, the internal fire, what I like to call the warmth, the heat, the uncontrolled energy of your desire. When you have desire, especially if it's well-intentioned and positive, coupled with action, high-level action, risk-taking, strategic thinking about where you're going in the future, and then you have a plan, something that you do 2 or 3 things every single day to get you there, you will inevitably succeed. You will find the right people, like how we all connected today. You will find the right success plan and the right system. And then when you have that together, coupled with success, leadership, confidence, and a plan, then anything that anybody ever decided to do in life, that's how it comes to fruition. So we want to be really mindful of things that burn us out, drag our energy, keep us down, that negative internal spin. And we want to reinvent ourselves. And with the new year coming into 2025, that is the message I think is so critical for each and every one of us, is to really think about ourselves intentionally, about who we want to be starting today, entering into the conference tomorrow, connecting with other people powerfully, and then creating what you want, redefined and reinvented. That's really critical.
I love how you put it all together in such a beautiful way, like starting with the mindset. It's sometimes like it's the conditioning. Women don't even know what they're capable of. It's just being like whatever is being told to them, and they don't even explore out of their box. And as mothers, we're really so focused
Yeah.
inward that we forget that, hey, could I even do something else? Like, what are my boundaries? Like, how can I push it? And it's just trying to dig deep and understand where this thought process is coming from. What are the conditioning and all of those things. So I love how you explained it.
I appreciate that so much. And to your point, a really simple task, an exercise that we all can do every single day is really understanding, hey, I had an inkling of doing something, but I'm scared. That's like the first thing that we want to think about. Sometimes we have fear or we feel uncertainty, and that is when you want to bring out your best friend, a piece of paper, and a pencil. And
Mm.
at that point, it's the most powerful, transformative exercise. I do believe in combination with meditation and sinking into our body to understand the real power of what we have, the emotions of our body. But when you first uncover fears, that's almost always with all of my executives, with my really accomplished leaders, with anybody in my day-to-day life that are just as important as people that have done great things. They're on the way to do great things. The important thing, the really important thing is that we take a moment, we write down what our fears are, and we have a stronger intensity and double down on our desire for where we want to go. So, just in that paper, a really brilliant and powerful exercise is for you to write down that first part of your dream, the career that you want to have, the company that you want to build, the influence that you want to have. And immediately your body will try to shut you down.
Niha, I would like to add something here. This is exactly what you mentioned. Grab a friend, and talk to her. Like I literally started like that. And with couple, later when the idea came to my head, it was
Yes.
middle of the night, and I'm like, okay, I really have to get it off my chest. So I picked up the number and I called up, and this friend's in India, and she goes like, "Is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everything is okay, but I have this crazy idea, and I really want to do this." And like, okay, what's the idea? It's like I want to create community for moms, and she's like, "And why are you talking about it?" And it's like it's 2 a.m. for you. And like because I really have to share because if I don't say
Yes.
it, I might just forget about it. And the next day I held another friend and I'm like, okay, listen, I have to talk to you. Because I kind of ran it by a couple of people and like my tribe. And what it did to me is really kind of helped me align because sometimes idea can make you feel like, okay, is that even valid? Is that a stupid idea? You know, have the self-doubt and question. But when you run it with people, you know, you nudge you in that right direction. And it really kickstarted this whole project just because I had this conversation. If I kept it within my head, I might have just kind of brushed it off and never attempted to do this crazy thing, coming to India and making all this happen. It's
Yes.
these people. And then even Natalia, she's one of my good friend from college. So she was another person I dragged into. So like, come on, we're doing this thing. And we're not like people like events people. It wasn't from a point of like, all right, let's create whatever. It was more like it's this thing, the fire inside that just starts and
Yes.
races. And I loved how you kind of put it all together. And I think more women should, if you have any idea in your head brewing somewhere, don't dismiss it. Grab somebody, and tomorrow you're meeting a whole bunch of them. Grab one of them and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking of this. What do you think of that?" you know, get the person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and look at your energy right now. Look at the brightness. It's like so effusive. Immediately you remembered, you connected back to that dream, that desire that had you calling your tribe, your amazing friends at 2 a.m. and validating it. But what you did there and what we do when we put it on paper is we immediately bring it to life. We take something that's just an inkling, a seedling, something that is meant to be. It's meant to be because it's energetically there.
That
It's
makes sense. I
energetically
conceive
there.
it. You conceive the idea and then you nurture
Exactly.
it and then you deliver it. It literally, I keep saying, doing this conference feels like delivering a child, like you're pushing. And it literally, I keep joking about it. Yeah, I'm in labor, because it's hard. And I'm like, every time I do conference, I'm like, I'm huffing and puffing. I'm like, it
Oh,
feels like I'm in labor. But then, I think like, again, talking like, it feels like, conceiving the idea. It's hard. And the struggles that comes with it, but you kind of have this love for something that you do that kind of makes you want to do it and makes you keep going. So, and then you see people like you and others and the community, and just it's just amazing.
yes. And Sylvia said a labor of love. And think about it. Now I'm going to start getting probably emotional, but when you think about positivity, positive energy, creation, the force of females, what we put into the world, what we can create, it really is endless. And so we need that balance. We need that balance of both sides. And if we are left to our own devices in
Mhm. Right.
our brain is trained, it's a computer and it's trained to be negative.
Mhm.
Because if it were not negative, we would have gone head first into that really sparkly, divine, warm fire, and we would be dead. And we would go into the dangerous, water. We would just have cliff dived into it because there would have been nothing in our brain that kept us back and told us not to go. We would have eaten dangerous berries instead of deciding, is this safe or is it not safe? So we come from a group of people. Our ancestors were people that had to look at the negative in order to survive. That's why we are here. But it's 2024, it's almost 2025. We don't have to use that old way of thinking. We do want to use our executive thinking, build the neuroplasticity, build a different way of thinking in our brain. So now, Lakshmi, you have done this thing that existed one day at 2 a.m. only in your brain, only energetically in your brain, in in Florida, I believe. And then now you are in India, you are creating it. We're on the eve of it. It's happening. And that's what it takes. If everyone in this room and everybody we love and that we influence has that same positive energy, well intention, good intention, creates that simple bridge plan by number one, saying, this is my dream. And here are all my fears. And then the next powerful thing we can do is answer every one of those fears. I do this. I do this on the plane. I did it on the plane coming. I'm with my family visiting for the holiday that we have here in the United States right now. And I did it because I have some things in my brain for when I return, some deliverables and some big presentations. And I was like, okay, let me get it organized. So, what are all my fears? And then what are the solutions to the fears? So, you'll go from a negative internal energy and then you'll burst into a higher level of capacity and risk taking because you want these things to stretch you. You don't want to say, oh, I can go for a 20-minute walk. I'll go for a 20-minute walk. You want to go for the thing that stretches you and excites you. And then when you do that, like this conference, when you do that, you will inevitably have fears, but those fears should never, never stop you. You write each fear down with a solution, with a solution, with a solution. Even within 5 minutes, you're going to have a warm, buzzy internal energy of a plan now because you'll look at all the answers somebody else could have given to you. Now you have answered it with your strong intuition and your talent, your strength, why you wanted to do it in the first place. And now you have a plan, a solution plan that's better than the idea. So we want to never use the internal thought, the idea, the shutdown mechanism as, oh, as a reason my gut told me, my intuition told me. That's a conditioned pre-response that's limited. When we are about shattering limitations and boxes and things that don't serve us or serve our families or our relationships or our bank account
True.
or our asset account,
That
we
energy, right? Like, the answers are right. And it's just recognizing those. And I love how you said to write it down because sometimes it's somewhere deep behind, like we don't even address it. Just writing it down kind of puts it in front. I feel like with a lot of mothers, sometimes it's isolation is another case, right? A lot of them are a bit isolated from the real world. And,
Mhm.
only when you talk, you kind of understand. And when they're isolated, they're not even addressing those fears. So what is going underneath? It's day-to-day stuff. What am I cooking tomorrow? What am I supposed to do?
Exactly.
Laundry. So it's just very deep within, and it's all brewing on a very subconscious level. And then like having community and having people to talk to and lean in on each other, just to feel like it just opens up. And that's why I always love when I talk to other women. And that was my first challenge. Where do I find right and women, with right mindset? Is talking to them
Mm.
allows for your own energies to open up, the energy that you kind of lock yourself, and then and to be able to like even to understand who we are, understand who we are when we really talk to each other. So
Yeah. And so these daily kinds of exercises can retrain our brain, literally create a different way of thinking. And then we can move forward to what we want every single day. Start with 5 minutes. Literally, you can change your life. I tell my clients, they drink a lot of coffee. We drink a lot of coffee in the United States, but over coffee, over chai in the morning, use that as your planning and energetic rising time. Throw up that barometer of desire, increase it, and then your energies and your positivities and your actions will also follow.
I love that. I'm going to open up for questions, and soon I'm going to vote because all the production thing is going on. Keep an eye, and I'll have Sudha take over. Sudha, come say hi.
Hi
Yeah,
everyone.
that's Sudha, and you guys are matching, so that's good. I guess Sylvia, if you want to add in something, go ahead.
Hi, Neha. It was great to hear you. And I do agree with what you've said, with everything that you said, actually. But the idea that Lakshmi had of, like the brain that just kind of had this energetic idea has to be lived in our brain first in order for it to become a sort of a rising energy that actually can manifest itself into the physical reality of where we're living, right? So here is where our deepest fears also live, because that is what we have to face in order to be able to move past that, the initial inertia that comes with the energy of the idea. So like fears of how would one deal with like something that's a really deep rooted, deep seated fear of rejection, or like a fear of um feeling worthy of putting this idea out into the world, to actually like be vulnerable with the world in that way.
Yeah, I like that. So think of it like seed. When a seed is buried, right? It's dark and it's just everything just seems crazy and just a
Mhm.
bunch of mud, and it just feels shitty, right? But that's when you're growing. That's when the ideas are sprouting. And you said it right. Sometimes it's not overnight. So for me to do it, it's probably, yes, it maybe sprouted at that point, but I was germinating. Like I was like in this dark spot where I had all this thought, and there's a very strong reason of why I did what I did. Eventually, one day, I'll probably talk about it. But then those were the things that kind of made me want to do it. The whole time I'm like, okay, this is not right. That isn't, this could have been better. And I would see the world, I would see women. Every time it would get to my nerve. And each time it's like, okay, how do we solve it? Like, how do we solve it? So it's just sitting and brewing. And one fine day it will sprout up. And the question that I ask myself is like, what's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah.
What could go wrong? When you think from that angle, it's like, what's the fear? Okay, you might lose a couple of whatever, dollars of money, but money is not everything. So, I'm at a point where I could take the chance. So I'm like, hey, I do a lot of other things, which is, I could be spending it on things, and things don't give me joy. So at that point, I said, okay, I could maybe lose a couple of lakhs or whatever. It's not a big deal. I'm going to take a chance because the impact I'm going to do and the connection I'm going to create is going to be priceless, and I'm going to take the chance. And regarding opinion of others, who cares? Because nobody really comes to for our thing, right? Like, world, everybody has an opinion. So that was another thing I had to tell myself. Initially, I was like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there. But then I'm like, if I don't do this, one day when I'm 80 years old, I'll be like, no, I wanted to do this, but I didn't. And that scared me more than people who might have some opinions, because everybody has opinion and we cannot waste our life for them. It's the impact and the good that we do, even if it touches one or two lives, it's massive, right? Like you're making some positive difference. So that's like the driving force. So if you have any of the ideas, you should also just go for it and not think about anything, because as long as we're alive, that's all matters, right?
Yeah.
Everything
Well,
else
and
is
and again, just the energy of beautiful questions, Sylvia, and thank you for having the courage and the vulnerability to ask, and the energy again, as Lakshmi is transmitting, and we can see it in her and everybody here. I'm sure is that's why we're here for a reason. So the first thing I think is to remember that when we have an idea, we have the idea because it's meant to be. Right. I really don't think about, I'm going to be honest. Everybody makes fun of me and my family. My mom has a beautiful green thumb, and like, that's not what I can do that great. So like, I really don't dream about being a farmer. I just don't. But I do dream, and I do these other things. A year ago, I started a podcast. I think it's almost a year and a half ago. And, starting my own company after several decades of working with CEOs and around CEOs. And I'm like, but wait, I have my own philosophy of leadership and executive leadership and the power of females and their economic independence. I have 3 daughters. I want them to see and do things that, my parents coming here to this country, they were pioneers, they were innovators, they were risk takers, they were the ultimate risk takers. They had so much to lose, they gave up so much. They were so scared, but they did it in the intention of bringing positivity and courage and success into their lives for their children. And so we have these fears, write them out, see them, and then write the solution plan. And then, like Lakshmi said, I love it. Actually, my older brother, who that's where we are right now, he's super brilliant and he's super great. And it was a great role model for me and my younger brother. And that's one of the things he told me. And it's so kind of fortuitous and interesting. You said exactly what my brother told me 20 years ago. And he said to me, they were both like, "Can we come into the screen and wave?" And I'm like, "Yeah, do it, guys. I'm sure everybody will love it." And one of the things that he said to me was like, "Niha, what's the worst that can happen?" If you, this is how he's a he's surgeon of like a really small spaces here in the back of the ear. And he's like, I always ask myself, what's the worst that can happen if I do? What's the worst that can happen if I don't? And the thing, like Lakshmi said, is we're going to get so much more joy, even through the failures and the growth, than we would if we sat inert and decades after decades. Think about that restlessness that you have when you don't, you smiled, right? You're like, oh gosh, like I don't want to keep this inside. So we tend to go after the things that we want, right? I'm not going to be a farmer. Like I can't be a farmer. It's not going to work for me. But this, even though I'm scared, or even though I may be nervous, or even though I'm sometimes you're like, do I even know what I'm talking about on this topic? Of course I do. But the fact that I question it, that's just conditioning. Who else should speak on it, by the way? If I don't, who else is going to? And then they're going to put that. Are they as positive intended as me? Are they as putting goodness into the world as me? Maybe not, but they'll do it and I won't. And then what was my legacy? So I like to think about that, but to get really specific, there are techniques, and it is work that I do with my clients where we do, and I would recommend this for you, drop into your body, close your eyes when you're having these moments, when you really want to understand, when you're feeling a lot of turmoil and fear and nervousness or anxiety. You can do a simple exercise of sitting on the ground or sitting on the couch somewhere where you're safe and you have a time to sit and think, and close your eyes and drop into your body and feel that space in your body that is uncomfortable, that has anxiety, that we usually avoid because those are not emotions that we usually like. They're stigmatized. They don't feel great in the body. And the more we ignore them, the more we are intellectual, but we don't really connect with our body's capability. These messages get lost. And so they're going to get higher and higher and higher. Have you ever been in a situation where you're like screaming and you lost your anger and you're just like, why is this happening? And it's like kind of unrelated. It's because that ball, that beach ball, that pressure has been under the water. And now to get our attention, it bursts to the surface. So we can close our eyes, feel those uncomfortable emotions and ask ourselves, just like Lakshmi said, whatever is coming up in the body. And usually it's just that we're worried about what people around us think. And in the end, we have to build a new skill of caring mostly about what we think. And as women with the shared culture that we have, that has not been built into us or the people before us. And we know that. So it is a societal and cultural challenge that we get to come together now and say, what goodness do we bring into the world? What economic influence and independence do we create? And what goodness comes of that? Not everybody will think that is good. That's not the reason we stop. That's not the reason we stop. What are your thoughts on that, Sylvia?
I think when the pain of actually staying still becomes more painful than the act of actually moving forward is where there is that growth edge that everybody would have, right? So just taking that leap and taking that leap
100%.
of faith, yeah, and just kind of, like you said, kind of mind body connection is where we really need to work on being able to just like understand where fear lives in us, in our body, and being able to acknowledge it, recognize it, and then just be in it and be with it for a little while until something comes off it, you know?
See,
I love that.
and just today is just you, the world, and just this one life of God. There's no room for regret. Whatever we want to do, if you want to be best in whatever, do it. You need to just jump in and do it. So, yeah, with you. Yeah.
So I have a 9-year-old, and we were at the mall, and I've had a very long day. I'm very tired. I'm very pleased that we're having a mother-daughter date, and we're just sitting across each other and getting our favorite food. And she tells me, "Mommy, you're wearing your shirt inside out." and and then I'm saying to myself, okay, I can go to the toilet and I can, set it right. But then I said, I went through the whole day. Nobody noticed it. I don't think I need to. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to change it. And I went home and nothing happened. And I thought that it was really amazing because we make that one little issue, which is not really really an issue. No one's noticing it. No one cares. And we make that as an excuse to suddenly get anxious. And we're not doing this on purpose. Like you said, we've conditioned ourselves. We've been conditioned. And these little steps teach us that so many things that are really big in here are actually not issues at all. Right? And again, children are leading us. Children are leading us. And she didn't say anything. I didn't change it. And she just went on and I just went on. And a lot of the times we infuse these fears within our children unknowingly.
Right.
These are our fears. You can't dress up like that. Everybody at the party is going to be dressed very well. You can't do it. And that is when it starts. And they grow up into these adults who are really, really anxious about what they wear. And I'm not asking you not to dress up, but if something doesn't go well, your world doesn't have to crumble apart. Right? If your lips are not matching what you're wearing, your world doesn't have to crumble apart. And I thought it was really funny and also deep. So I wanted to share that on a lighter note about fears.
You have so much to teach us.
Yeah.
Right? Love that. So, Vidya.
Yeah. So for me, it's more than fear. I think it's more of very innate limitations. I guess, being brought up in a middle class Indian family and women and all, and there's a lot of limitations which is very subconscious and also consciously laid by me as well. So even if you get an idea, you just brush off, oh, I'll just do the bare minimum and that be it. So I think that plays a huge role. And for me, just being in these, I didn't attend the first day of the conference, but these 2 days kind of made me a little, at least, remove my limitations. And probably I should look more deeply into what I'm thinking about my career and future and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think have that journal, do that exercise every day, drop into the body, understand we want to partner with the positive and the negative emotions. Ask your body, what does this message have for me? And then say, what is the message you have for it? Contract together, partner together. The anger has a purpose. My anxiety has a purpose. My stress has a purpose. So let's listen to that. Write it down, answer the questions, take action. Take action. And so I know that we are coming up to time, but please do honor the greatness inside of you, the thoughts, the desire. You are meant to do it. You are meant to have it. And hopefully they'll share the podcast that I have, but I do have a podcast. And the reason why I have it, it's Brown AF, Brown, Ambitious, and Free. Brown AF here has other fun connotations, but I wanted it to stand out. I can be a little bit, edgy, but check it out because we talk about a lot of these things. And if it can help you, these tips and strategies, you can put them into place right away and you can do these things and connect with others. And thank you so much for this. Thank you, Lakshmi, and to your entire team. It's just a true honor.
Thank you so much. I loved every second of this. And you're such wealth of knowledge. And we need more of you. And we're going to, of course, continue this conversation and hopefully have you be part of a conference one of these days. So which part of the world are you in right now when you're traveling?
I just got to Michigan where I did go to school. So we are not too far, but we are kind of in between Ann Arbor and Detroit up in Michigan. So
nice and chilly.
It's very chilly. Yeah.
All right,
but I'm coming to India next month. I'm missing you by a couple of weeks.
Oh,
for the first time in a long time, I'm coming to India. So really,
next
really
time
excited.
we'll plan it together.
Yes.
And
we'll do that.
Conference where you're here in person because I think you're incredible. And our women need to hear more of these conversations to make them think, to make them reset, and then to really identify who they truly are. Because our culture is such that women are told to kind of sit in the corner, just kind of get busy, do your stuff, raise children, and then minimize. And that's one of the reasons why I felt strongly that I need to come here and do my work, even though it's much easier for me to do things in the US. But if we don't make such changes, who will? And it's like we need to propel and make this, have people to take this action. So such conversation plays a critical role because you never know what it does to even that one person. So we'd love to continue this conversation and to
It
know
would be an
more and more
honor.
about
Yes.
what you do. And with that, thank you so much, guys, for spending your evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be, think of it like a nice big party for moms. So I'm just planning to just chill. And by the way, after the conference is over, we'll all will be hanging out by the poolside and
Wow.
just chat and catch up. And, so we're going to have discussion chat and some serious topics. We're going to have some comedy. We have Amrita, who is absolutely hilarious. We'll be doing a lot of some roast and connecting on common factor that makes us go crazy. At the same time, it's hilarious. And of course, ended on a good note. And I'm super excited for tomorrow. So spread the word. Bring your mom friend, and let's have a big mom's party. And Niha, you stay warm, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Can't wait. Best wishes to everybody. Have a great time, and cheers to ultimate risk taking and success in 2025. Have a great time, everybody.
Mompower360, an empowering community for moms just like you and me.